Hello, my name is Jennifer Thompson and I'm a statistician at StatSoft. Today in the Getting Started with Statistica video series, we're talking about data management. The first session was a general quick overview of an analysis in Statistica, and this session continues with an in-depth look at the various data management tools. Data management is a large task, so I'll split it into two parts. In the first part, we'll talk about working with variables, reviewing data for issues, outliers, missing data, and other data issues. In the second part, we'll talk about case selection conditions, brushing and case dates, and sampling and subsets. In working with variables, you can add, move, copy, and delete to obtain the spreadsheet you need for analysis. When adding variables, it may be useful to use the spreadsheet function to create data. The function browser seen here offers a wide variety of spreadsheet functions to complete your goals, from math and statistical functions to data and text operations. When using the function browser, a description of the function and its use is given at the bottom section. More explanation and examples are given in Help and can be accessed by clicking the question mark on the dialog. Before getting deep into an analysis, it's a good idea to review the data first. This can reveal data issues such as missing data, outliers, data entry errors, etc. Graphs, such as the box plot seen here, can show outliers and extreme values. This point is an extreme value and may need further review. Is it a data entry error, a case that should not be in the data because perhaps it does not belong to the defined population, or is it a legitimate but extreme point? This affects how the point is treated. The frequency table gives a count of missing data. Missing data cannot be used in analysis, so when it exists, we must determine how it should be handled. One approach is to fill in the missing value with variable means or medians. Another approach is to leave out cases and variables with too many missing values. A cross-tabulation is another tool that can highlight issues in the data. For instance, we see here a cross-tabulation of the variables gender and pregnancy status. One observation is male with a status of pregnant. This combination is likely a data entry error that should be further explored. The filter and recode options from the data menu provide tools to deal with various data issues. If duplicates are detected, the duplicate can be removed. Sparse data is either a variable or a case with too many missing observations, and is therefore not contributing to the analysis. Invariant variables are those with no variability, and therefore not interesting and also incapable of contributing to the model. The Outlier Recode tool has several outlier tests to choose from, and options for what to do with those outliers, such as mark them for review, or replace them with a mean or a value. The three missing data tools offer various strategies for filling in missing values. The Process Missing Data tool lets you choose from the mean, median, a value, etc. The Missing Data Imputation tool uses the k-nearest neighbors approach in finding similar cases and using them to fill in the missing values. Replace missing data is a quick way to fill in missing values with the mean. Let's illustrate these concepts with an example in Statistica. This data comes from a data analysis competition from several years ago and comes from the KDD website. I downloaded the data as a text file seen here. First, let's import the data and select the file. I'm going to use all of the default options when importing this data. And we're going to take variable names from the first row, and on OK the data begin importing. It's a large file, so while it imports I'll tell you a little bit about the data. The data are records from a direct mailing campaign for a charitable organization. The data have information about the donors and their gift history. Now that the data are imported, on first look a few issues are apparent. For instance, the zip code column has 5-digit codes. Some, such as this one here, have a trailing dash. Double-click on this variable to explore it further. The data are detected as numeric, but the entries with a dash won't be recognized as numeric. Let's click on the text labels button, and we see the zip codes with a trailing dash are given a text label, and there's a numeric code underlying. This mixture of text and numeric data could cause issues later on. And since zip codes are categories, I'm going to change this to text. This will remove the text codes that we saw and their underlying numeric codes. And also I'm going to use a spreadsheet function to strip off the trailing dash. And I'm using the mid function, which is a function that allows me to select a certain number of characters. It's using the current variable and starting with the first character and going for 5 characters. So when I click OK, this expression will be evaluated and the data will be recoded. And you'll notice that dash has been removed from the zip code that previously had a dash. Next, we're going to look at a new variable, this one, the MD/MAUD. So this variable is described in supporting documentation, and it's the major donor matrix code. So this code has 4 characters that combine to indicate what type of donor someone is. And so the first character is the recency of a gift, if they're a current donor, if they've lapsed, inactive, or a dormant donor. The second character is the frequency of giving. The third character is the amount of giving, and the fourth character was not actually used. X's for each of those indicate that the donor is not a major donor. So what I want to do is split apart these variables into 3 new variables. One for how recent of a gift, the frequency of a gift, and the amount of the gift. So first I'm going to add variables. I'm going to add 3 variables, inserting it after the existing variable that we're working with, which is variable number 14. So the 3 new variables were added, and I'm going to use the all specs dialog to work with these 3 new variables all at once. So I can rename them recency of gift, frequency of gift, and amount of gift. And then I'll use spreadsheet functions. I'm going to use the mid statement again, using variable 14 to pick off the first character and just selecting 1 character. For the frequency of the gift, again I'm using variable 14, and this time I'm taking the second character and just taking 1 character. Starting at the third character and taking 1. And on OK, we can evaluate that expression and recode those variables. So now those variables have been recalculated, and let's scroll down and find a case that's something other than just X is a non-donor. So we see that this variable has been split up into its 3 portions. Then I can double click and specify text labels. We can change these codes to something more descriptive. So X was not a donor, C was a current donor, D for dormant, L was for lapsed, and I was for inactive. So those text labels give us a better understanding of what type of donor these individuals are. Scrolling further across the spreadsheet, we come to the variable age. And so let's start out by making a histogram of this variable. So I select the variable age, and on the Advanced tab, I'm going to ask for descriptive statistics and the total count and click OK. And so we get a histogram of our variable age. And so we can look here and make sure that all of the members of our data set, they're greater than 0, so that makes them valid. They're less than 100, so we know that those are legitimate possible ages for a person. So we can look at the descriptive statistics that we requested, and so we see that there were 71,000 records that we have a valid age for. The original data had 90,000 some records, so there are some missing values. And we can also look at the minimum and maximum. So the minimum value is a 1, and so depending on what our expectations are, we may expect that all donors be at least, legal adult of 18 years, or it could be possible that people have made donations in a child's name, and so an age of 1 may be a legitimate observation. So I'm going to assume that these are all legitimate ages, and we're going to focus on the missing values for this variable. So to do that, I'm going to go to the Data menu and select Filter and Recode. The easiest method is to replace all of the values with a mean. So I'll use this Replace Missing Values. It's going to use the variable age, all of the cases, and on OK, the missing values will be filled in with a mean. And so now we see those missing values have been replaced with the mean, which was 61.6 years. Scrolling across again, we have a set of variables starting here that are indicators of a person's interest in various activities. So we see a Y for yes, and the missing values are an indicator of no interest, or a no. But these blank values need to be filled in with an actual value. Otherwise, the cases are ignored because they're assumed to be missing values. So again, from the Data menu, the Data Filtering and Recode, we're going to process missing data. And I'm going to select variables 59 through 76, because these are my indicators of donor interest. And so I'm going to use the recode to a value, and over here in the value field, I'm going to type in an N for no. And so I specify that N for no for all of these variables, and it's a large data set, so I don't need to create a new spreadsheet. I'll just have it update the existing spreadsheet. Uncheck that option, and then on OK, the missing data will be replaced. And when the operation completes, we see all of the missing values that were filled in with N's for no. So now we could use these variables for further analysis. And there's lots more that we could do with this data to clean it up and get it ready for analysis, but that's all we'll talk about for today. If you'd like more information about StatSoft and its product line, including Statistica, you can visit our website at statsoft.com or call 918-749-1119. Outside of the United States and Canada, statsoft.com has links to our international offices that can also be of assistance.